Google Pest Control Marketer. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.
Well, hello, folks. This is Hal Coleman and Mike Stewart. We're here to present yet another episode of the Pest Control Marketing Podcast and Pest Control Marketing.live, the only live streaming internet TV show totally devoted to helping you, PCOs and WCOs, and other small businesses get more new customers, make more money, and be more successful. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you're listening on a replay, we do appreciate it, don't we, Mikey?
Absolutely. We want you to get this content, get this stuff, and use it. And and then, of course, we'll talk to you how we can do business. We hope you consider doing business with us someday. But we do this podcast because we know it's helped a lot of people, and it's a way to get to know Hal and I. So Hal always comes with a great subject to talk about, and I'm excited to hear what you want to talk about today.
Well, you know what I want to talk about, and I, like we say before, this is unrehearsed. We haven't worked on this all week. You don't know what we're going to talk about until I tell you what we're going to talk about. And I told you about 15 seconds before the intro played for this episode, and you said, okay, that sounds good. I want to talk about what is your vision, your ultimate vision for your business and your life and your retirement, and how does your business play a role in all of that? You know, there's I don't know who said it, but I've heard it many times. It always start with the end in mind. Now, I'm in my 51st year now in the pest control industry. You know, I was a state regulatory pest control guy for 10 years. Then I worked for a large independent pest control company, actually Arrow Exterminators, and for 6 years, and then owned my own business for 18 years. And now for 15 years, I just work as a marketing and sales coach for pest control, small pest control companies. And I went in business for myself. I was making great money in the pest control business working for somebody else. I had a great cushy job. I didn't put in a lot of long hours. I made more money than I'd ever made in my life, and could have stayed there forever and built a retirement. And I'd probably be retired right now from them. But, you know, so somebody said, well, why do you want to give all that up and go out there and bust your ass every day and starting out as a one-man operator? I said, well, I want to do it because I've seen other people go out and do it, and they build a business up to a certain point, and then they sell it, and they get a lot of money for it. And that sounds like a really good project for me. I said, I'm going to put in 20 years with my own business and build it up into something that I can sell and build a retirement from. That was one reason. And the other reason was I wanted freedom. I said, you know, I like to hunt and fish. That's my two biggest hobbies and of my life. And of course, music. And, you know, I got so many hobbies. I roll really nice premium long leaf filler cigars, give to my friends, been doing that for years. And, but hunting and fishing. And, you know, when I worked for another company, I couldn't get off. I forgot to mention golf too. But I couldn't get off for 3 or 4 days and go deer hunting, or if the fish were really biting, I couldn't just call up and say, you know, I'm taking off tomorrow because the fish are biting. I had a job, and I got so much paid vacation and, you know, so much time off, and that was it. So I wanted the freedom to be able to take off when I wanted to. And my dad was one of the biggest ones who pinned me down about leaving a job where I was making great money and doing well. And Lynn, my wife, was a school teacher, and she was doing good. You know, here in Fulton County, she got paid well, and she was building a retirement too. he said, if you go in business for yourself, he said, you're going to be working 12 hours a day, at least 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, the rest of your life, or you won't make it. He said, that's what it takes to run a business. He had done it before, and that was his philosophy. I said, well, you know me, I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm going to work from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I'm going to be successful. But I'm not going to work on the weekends. I'm going to be hunting and fishing on the weekends, doing stuff with the family. He said, he shook his head. He said, you have lost your mind. He said, you don't have a clue what you're talking about. He said, I've had a small business before. I know what it's like. And you might as well he said, you're not going to be successful if you think you can do it 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Well, I said, I am. That's what I'm going to do. So I started in business, working 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. As quick as I possibly could, I got an employee, which was about 6 months after I started. I bought a little renewal route. The guy he was not licensed in household pest control, but he was in termite, and he was a one-man operator, and he had about 600 termite renewals. At the time, they were from like $40 to $55 a year each. So I bought his business, which was that little handful of renewals, and his truck and his equipment. And he actually even had a little office and a part-time secretary. So I talked my sister-in-law, who was not working at the time, to be my part-time secretary, which would just answer the phone and, keep the books. So I did that. And now people would call and want me to come do a termite job on Saturday. And the very first year there, I would go do that, partly because my son was a teenager and I wanted to introduce him to the business, and he was in school during the week, so he could go work with me on Saturday. So I'd go do a termite job on Saturday where he could go work with me and get the experience. And, but it was Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. That's when we were, and after I had 10 employees, we were open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and finally Fridays, 8 to 4. So built a nice little business, sold it for $1 million, invested that money, and went on to do something else, which was my coaching business. So I had the end in mind of selling my pest control business, building a business up that I could sell for enough that would give me a semblance of a decent retirement, because my wife, being a teacher, retired, and we have a retirement income there too. So, and then go on and do something else. So from age 40 to age 58, I ran the termite business, and now I'm about to be 73. So for 15 years, I've had my coaching business. But in the back of my mind, I've also used to be in the music business part-time, as you know, like you did. And that's always been in the back of my mind. I can still play the guitar and sing and entertain people. So now I'm starting to book gigs playing out, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to wind my coaching business down in some form. I mean, I'll still take new clients if they're the right clients. If they're the client that can convince me that they want to do the work and grow that business and they're fully committed to it, I'll work with them. But I don't take people anymore that want to dilly-dally around or, put things off or come up with excuses why they didn't do stuff. I used to have a lot of those clients because I would, take on anybody that wanted to work with me, but I don't do that anymore. I'm very selective. But now it's all coming kind of full circle back to the music business, and I get paid to do that too. So that's another source of income. But I know my point I'm getting around to is I know a lot of people in all kinds of businesses, even pest control, who are working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. And they think that's what they have to do. to survive, I guess. And the business, they've been doing that for years and years. It's like they've got a wolf by the throat and they can't afford to let go of it. And so my point I want to make today is you need to have a plan to enjoy your life even while you have your own business. You have to be able to enjoy your life. Your family has to be able to have time with you and have a relationship with you. And your work is not the center of your existence. At least it shouldn't be, because someday you may not be able to work. You may be working 10 and 12 hours a day, and something happens to you, and you find you can no longer do this work. You can no longer crawl under a house or climb up on a roof or crawl through an attic, or you can't do physical stuff anymore. What's plan B? What would you do? What hobby or interest do you have that you could pursue at that point and turn into more income? Plan A, plan B, and plan C is what many people don't have any of those plans. They're just working so hard and so long, and they're stuck, and they think that's what they have to do. They think this is the way it is to have a small business, to have a pest control business. You got to work yourself to death in order to make a go of it and survive. It's just not that way. Not that way at all. I mean, I teach my clients, I'm going to help you build a sellable business that somebody will be lined up to write a check to you for your business anytime you're ready, because that's what I'm going to help you build and help you get there so that you can have that kind of retirement. And not many do. And Mike, you got a very similar story, don't you?
Yeah. The thing that I've heard over the years, and when it comes to pest control, there's people that are employees of pest control, and then there's PCOs, pest control operators, people who own the business, people who are the risk takers. You've got to work on your business, not in your business, and have the end in mind with your business. And I maybe I'm guilty of not having the end in mind with my business, but I was lucky enough to do a couple of things that I highly recommend people do to have the end in mind. And number one, have a passion for this business. They used to say on stage at internet marketing seminars, when you do what you love, you never work an hour, you never work a day of business. If you don't enjoy it, if you don't have a passion for it, if you don't get excited about, getting a new customer or getting a new deal or learning a new strategy to get more customers or have something your competitors don't, there's lots of things that can get you excited. That's what used to work for me, is when I knew something that others didn't and I knew it would help them, it didn't feel like work. But the thing that I heard you talking about the fact that when you were an employee and you wanted to do something else that was unrelated to the job, you couldn't take off, unless it was your vacation time. And that was the motivation for me to always be, I've never had a job where I was my own boss. I've been my own boss my whole life.
You've never drawn a paycheck, have you?
Not from a company, no.
I've always been paid directly to you.
I've always said, I think there's a business there, and I've reinvented myself 6 times in my life. And I'll quickly tell a little bit of that story. When I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, I was a piano player, and the way I made a living was I played piano in Holiday Inns and honky tonks, I guess what some people might call it, playing in bands. And I made enough money playing music. And then I thought, well, I need some more music. That's only like 4 hours a day. So I started teaching guitar, and I did that for a while. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to learn how to record. And then I started a recording studio, and I thought, okay, well, how am I going to keep this recording studio having cash flow, and I started doing song demos. I joined the Atlanta Songwriters Association because I knew that's where songwriters would be. And I'll never forget the first flyer, my advertising. The first flyer I ever did was a handwritten Xerox copy of paper, said, do your song demos with us, $100 a song. Come out, we'll record your song for you. And we started getting business. And then I said, well, if I have
I sang some of those songs.
Yeah, well, and then we had our first studio. And then
how come you were getting $100 and I was only getting $10 to sing?
Well, you got 10% of it.
Okay.
But then, I said, well, what if we did corporate recording? And I'll never forget my first corporate client was Art Williams, A.L. Williams Insurance, and then Waffle House. And then the relation, and so over the years, the reinventing myself, I was a musician playing clubs and Holiday Inns and lounges. And then I became a studio owner and networking. In fact, you were very instrumental in reminding me of networking, but meeting people, handing out business cards, mailing out demos, talking to people, trying to position myself as unique was fun. I was passionate about it. Now I'm like you. I had small kids. I had to be home at night. I tried to go. I like going boating and stuff. I had a lot of things that I still love, and I tried to never book sessions on Saturday and Sunday. Well, I don't think we ever did a Saturday or Sunday session. We were Monday through Friday.
Yep.
But I mean, we had some long hour days, but they weren't every time. But then after I became a studio owner and I realized I couldn't do that the rest of my life, I did it for 20 years. I discovered the internet. And one of the things that the internet has done for me, and something that,
was it Al Gore that called you and told you?
Yeah, Al called us. He called me up and he says, you need to pay attention to this thing. America, I was on AOL, which we used to call amateurs online. But we studied the internet, and I started understanding how the internet and how websites and how you could communicate with people. And this was in the 90s. And so I started studying how you build relationships through the internet, and you create offers. And then we learned all kinds of strategies, and I got passionate about that. And then because I was considered an authority on audio on the internet, my wife and I, we traveled to Australia, China, Indonesia, England, Canada. I mean, I've been everywhere speaking, and I learned new
There's
skills.
a song in there somewhere.
Possibly. I learned skills that I didn't know that I would want to learn, like how to speak from the stage and create offers that people would buy at seminars. And so my point about all this is that look at related. Don't lock yourself into any one thing that can create and support you. And of course, if I had some things to do over, I might have I made a lot of money. I didn't spend it as wisely as I should. And that's one of the things. Be sure that they say you should save. You should pay yourself first in a savings account before you pay any bills. I've heard that, and I didn't do it, but I did build residual income opportunities. And I'm sure there is reoccurring and residual income opportunities to give you a cash flow to support you while you figure out other things to do. And now that I'm in my years, I put down officially that I am retired. But here's what retirement is to me. Retirement to me is saying yes to what I enjoy and no to what I don't. That's retirement to me. Okay. So, after we built a great internet business and set up residual income, like, you don't think about it. Yourbusiness.com, your web address. I have sold over 1,000 domain names to people all over the world, and I get residual income off of that. It takes me 10 seconds to sell a domain name. And there are so many services that are related to my business that make me a good living every month as residual income. So
You said something. Let me interrupt. You said something earlier that I was thinking I want to come back to that. This might be a good time because you're bringing up what I wanted to bring up. You said earlier, well, I didn't really plan for my future as well as you did, but I'm thinking, well, you did. You've been building this residual income for years and years and years, and now you've got it built where if you couldn't play music or couldn't do anything else, your residual income goes on and on and on. So you did plan for that,
well,
and you're still doing it.
I wanted to be honest and say that the reason I started buying and selling a related product, which is web addresses, web hosting, email services. There's all these electronic services that GoDaddy is the company. You can, in fact, I've actually got a website called Local Domain Reseller. There are so many opportunities in that world that, I remember one time somebody was going by my dock at the lake in a kayak, and we started having a conversation, and I said, what? They said they were an author. I said, what's the name of your book? And they said, it's, How to Grow a Pest Control Business, whatever the name of the book was. And
Really?
I said, well, don't you own that domain name? And they said, well, I hadn't thought about it. I said, well, you should own the domain name to your book. And they said, well, how do I get it? And I happened to have my iPad with me. I said, well, I can set you up an account and sell it to you right now. And I'm sitting there in a bathing suit and a t-shirt, and a guy sitting in front of my dock in a kayak. And see, it was fun to me. That wasn't work.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Is
Yeah.
that I didn't go, well, I'm not going to bring up selling domain names because it's Saturday. So that's what I'm saying is when you find the things that you love, like you said, you never work a day in your life if you have passion about it. And when you can have residual income, that's why financial advisors exist. They say, take your money and invest it in stocks and mutual funds and bonds and whatnot, and your money will create residual income. They don't call it residual income, but that's what it is. It's creating a flow of cash flow and anybody can take $100 and put it in a savings account, but sadly most people don't. I'm guilty of not doing as much as I should have but because, like I said, when I started doing these domain names and other residual income entities, I didn't think about I'm doing this for now. I thought I just did it because I realized that it was an opportunity. Well, I'll tell you, the guy, Keith Knabb, was an insurance agent, and he says, I asked him about when he sold an insurance policy. I said, how do you get paid? He says, every time that insurance policy renews for the rest of your life, he gets a piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when he sells enough business, he's got a residual income that statistically will probably last his whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, well, what's related to my business that I could do that? I like the sound of that. Sell it once and it pays forever. So at any rate, look around. Is there residual related things that you could do? Maybe related to the pest control business, maybe not. I don't know. And one of the most valuable things that you can sell is your expertise. It's kind of what Hal and I are doing here. When Hal sold his pest control business, his comment to me was, I want to be I want to be a marketing coach, kind of like you are, Mike. And you started off with the networking ninja. And I think there wasn't clarity to people was the reason that was hard. Yeah. But when you became the pest control marketer, it was clarity. You were the guy that helped PCOs increase their pest control business. Now, the truth is, Hal could help a plumber, an electrician, a roofer, a dentist, a chiropractor. He could help anybody because the principles are the same. And I do as well too. But at the end of the day, selling your expertise, either recorded or you can sell your time, but get paid well for it. And that's kind of what you're doing now, Hal. If you don't get paid fairly for your time, we're not interested. We don't have to have it.
And see, that's what pest control is about, that repeat income. You sign somebody up for quarterly pest control and they pay you $97 a quarter. And if you take care of them, the average customer stays with you this day and time. The average pest control customer stays with you about 10 years, and they spend an average of about $6,000 with you. So you're just building. That's when people come to buy your pest control. When you get ready to retire and somebody wants to, and you want to sell your business, now if you haven't built it correctly, nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to want it at all, because it's not structured correctly. And you've been doing all one-time jobs and cash under the table and everything else, which is very lucrative while you're doing it. But someday when you say, I don't want to do this anymore, a lot of people just have to, throw their coveralls in the trash can and give their flashlight to their grandkids, and that's it. They're not doing it anymore. But if you build it correctly with that residual and that recurring revenue from those customers, when somebody buys your business, that's what they look at. It's recurring revenue, and that's where the value lies. And so if you've built it correctly, people look at you and they go online, look at your website, and they see what you're doing, and they say, wow, I'd like to add this company to our company. Arrow, I'll use them as an example. I'm not sure how big they are right now, but I think they're in the ballpark of $400 million a year. And they got offices all around the South and I'm not sure, the Midwest. They got offices everywhere. But I worked for them back when they had their first branch office. They were here in North Atlanta. And I went to work for them when they opened their first branch office. And they moved the guy who did his route. They moved him into sales, and they hired me away from the state. And I went to work for them in their first branch. So that was a long time ago. That was back in 1984 when I went to work for them. But now, it's owned by the same family. The same people own it. They're brilliant business people. They're amazing people. They're just one of the best. They were just voted one of the all-time best places to work in the country, I think. But a lot of their backbone of their growth has been through acquisitions, through buying smaller companies. And they got people out there all the time looking at small companies that they want to buy. And I know tons of people that have sold their businesses to Arrow. They get ready to slow down or retire. Maybe Arrow buys their business from them and then hires them to manage it for a few years. But there are all kinds of things that you can do if you build your pest control business properly from the ground up. And you don't want to just build something that's worthless in the end. Yeah. And so that's having that goal of getting that big check that you give to a financial planner, and they put that money away and start managing it for you, and then you can go do something else. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Eventually I'll probably be doing some coaching until the day I die, as long as my body and my mind allows me to deliver the value to my clients. I'll still be doing it. But kind of wrapping up here, think about what you have with your business, your pest control business, your wildlife business, your plumbing business, your spa business, your roofing business. My main expertise is with home service businesses, but I've had chiropractors, I had an energy healer, I've had a travel agent. I've had a lot of different people. They're all the same. The bottom line, somebody says, well, but my business is different. No, it's not. You got to have a service or a product that solves a problem or helps people in some way. And you got to find enough people that are willing to pay you for that product or service so that you can make money. And that's the way all businesses are. So that's the way, whether you build airliners, whether you're Lockheed and you're building, or Boeing, you're building 747s, or whether you're John Doe, selling tomatoes on the street corner. You got to have good tomatoes, and you got to find enough people, tell them about your tomatoes so that they come and buy enough tomatoes where you can make money and pay your bills.
Yeah.
And so it's all the same. And anyway, this was just on my mind because more and more, not more and more, but always, I'm talking to PCOs on the phone and, giving them a free hour, and you find so many of them are stuck. And I ought to tell them, it's just like when you wade out into the muck, the further you go, the deeper you get. And one day you find out you're a long way from shore and you're stuck and you're mired up to your waist and you can't get your feet out. You're just simply stuck. And that's it. And don't call me if you're mired up to your waist and you're stuck, because you're not going to want to do what you got to do to get out of that mess. Somebody might just want to come along, put a foot on you and push you deeper. I don't know. But don't wait until you get stuck out in the mud and say, well, you should have called me when it was ankle deep or knee deep, and you realize that it was getting more and more and more difficult to do every day. Don't wait that long, because you don't need to suffer that way. And we can get you on track and get your business going and get some of your time freed up and help you change your mindset a little bit and learn how to spend more time working on your business than in your business, and make life a lot easier for you and for your family too, and help you build something that you can call a retirement that you can, a lot of companies are doing that, but there's a lot of them that aren't. And those are my clients, the ones that haven't figured that out yet. So why don't you wrap it up for us, Mike?
Well, I'm not going to go too hard on, we both do coaching. It's real easy to find our phone numbers, but here's what I recommend to do. If you're new to this podcast, go listen. There's over 130 episodes, I think, of just marketing gold. Go back and listen to the old podcasts. But right now, absolutely free, go to howtogrowapestcontrolbusiness.com and get Hal's book. I'll give out our phone numbers. If you want to call Hal and want to talk to him about anything, if this is the first time you heard a podcast or you've been listening to it for a while, call him at 770-993-0004. That's 770-993-0004.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. That's a Hal Coleman lesson right there. If you give out a phone number, don't fly through it so people can't remember what it was. And I help businesses understand how to use the internet. I've had 25 years experience doing online strategies that are proven. And you can call me at 770-826-3662. But anyway, we'd love to talk to you. But go get Hal's book. That way you can remain a little bit anonymous. Nobody's going to call you and bug you and pester you. And we give enough information away that it could make a difference in your business. And if you try it and then you want to go to the next level, get in touch with us, because we love working with people that are action takers. If you're not an action taker, don't waste your time. Don't even bother downloading the book if you're not willing to take action. But if you want to grow your business, we know what works, and it's passionate to us. One of the things that this business has done for me and in my retirement, go check us out. I got back to my music roots, and go to boxtops.com. If you ever remember a song,
give me a ticket called an airplane.
There you go.
Time to take a fast train.
Lonely days are gone.
I'm going home.
My baby, she wrote me the letter. So, at any rate, if it's fun, I do it. If I hate it, I can say no. And that was my end in mind that I determined over the last 10 years. And I'm so grateful that I built residual income. And I didn't know at the time that was planning for the end. So we're telling you, Hal did plan for the end. I didn't, and I lucked up. Don't do what I did. Don't luck up. Plan for the end. And what happens is when you do that, I was able to move to Nashville, and in fact, my income went up during COVID because we had so many people in the pest control industry that wanted to. Well, hell, the phone was ringing because people were home finding bugs. So
COVID was good for the pest control industry.
Yeah. So at any rate, we'll have another episode. Share this podcast with any other business, any kind of business. Hey, say every time, listen to this podcast, and every time we say pest control, just substitute roofer or electrician or plumber, because it's all the same as service businesses. It really works well. I've got a system called the Local Big Three, and maybe we'll do a podcast about that. But Hal, I'm going to play the jingle and we'll get on out of here.
Thanks, folks, and stay tuned for the next episode of the Pest Control Marketing Podcast and the Pest Control Marketing Live.
Hal Coleman has been active in the pest control industry for over 40 years, including owning and operating his own successful pest control business for 18 years. He now devotes his time to helping other PCOs and other WCOs double, triple, and even quadruple their businesses faster than they ever imagined. Be sure to check out his website, pestcontrolmarketer.com. For more information about Hal's coaching program, you can reach him at 770-993-0004 or email him hal@halcoleman.com. Mike Stewart is known as the Internet Audio and Video Guy. Since the birth of the Internet, Mike has been showing small business owners how to get more new customers, increase their sales, and grow their businesses online using audio and video, now with iPhones and Android phones. For more information about Mike's coaching program and his online training courses, visit MikeStewartCoaching.com or email him mike@internetaudioguide.com.
Google Pest Control Marketer. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.